6 of them. And I go, hey, wow, here's the book. So I'm passing it around, and they're all looking, trying to find their names inside, you know. And my editor got all these nice people to say nice things, and Lamont on the cover of the hardcover, anyway, also the paperback. And on the back, it has Marion Wright Edelman and Carrie Kennedy. Presumably, these people all read the book, you know, but said nice things. And then Jack Kornfield's at the top, in the back of the book, who's just a great man, a philosopher, and guru, and Buddhist, and great thinker. And he says all these nice things. So he has like 3 sentences in his blurb. And the first sentence has all these very effusive adjectives that I'll spare you. And then the second sentence begins this way. Father Boyle, the Gandhi of the games. Well, when the book gets to this homie named Pasquale's told her about the, you know, been locked up. I knew when he was a little kid in the projects. Gang member, but graduated from Cal State Northridge, and he runs our parenting division. And apparently, part of his job description, I didn't know this, is to take me down a notch, you know. So he sees this thing and he goes, "The Gandhi of the games, you know, this is way too much." So then, you know, the next day I get an email from Pasquale. He says, "Here's a blurb for your book. This book is astounding. Father Boyle is the Sarah Palin of the game." In fact, he can see Mexico from his back porch. I immediately forwarded this to my editor, and I said, "Please, I beg you, put this on the paperback edition." And she just wrote me back, "OHN." Anyway, one last story. I was in St. Louis, and now I feel like I have greatest hits. Somebody said, "Please tell this story," so I'll tell this story, even if you haven't asked for it. And then we'll have a question and answer, and then we'll say one. So in a previous regime that some of you may recall, Laura Bush, when she was the First Lady of the United States of America, came to visit Homeboy Industries. And she was traveling around the country visiting after-school programs, mentoring programs. And we were the only gang intervention program she visited. And so the Secret Service felt that our headquarters was too porous to be secured. So they landed on the Homeboy Silkscreen factory, which was kind of our biggest business, been around for 18 years. It's a factory kind of in a off campus, if you will, a little standalone factory. And so that's where the visit was going to take place. So on the day of her arrival and visit, we had bomb-sniffing dogs, we had sharpshooters on the roofs of all the surrounding factories, we had sharpshooters inside the building from the rafters, aimed at the homies, following them wherever they were. And about 2 weeks before, the head of the Secret Service Division, kind of a severe-looking Clint Eastwood type guy, came to me and he said, "You know, Father, only 50 people can be a part of this visit. That's all we can allow." I had, at that point, 400 employees, so you're going to have to choose who's going to be a part of this thing. And then I'm going to need their names. I'm going to need their birth dates. I'm going to need their social security numbers. So we decided to declare undocumented worker day off day on that day. We'll see you the following day. So I dutifully typed up this list and I handed it to Clint. And about 2 days later, he's in my office looking more severe than I recall. And he said, "Wow, yeah, Father, these people have records," he says. Like, news might come as a surprise to me, you know. And I said, "Well, at Homeboy Industries, it's sort of the idea." You know? So we had to negotiate 2 guys who apparently their resumes were too long. So anyway, everybody got approved. So the visit went off without a hitch, and everybody felt really good about themselves. Wow, the wife of the President of the United States visited us. So about 3 months later, I get a phone call from the White House, from Laura Bush's office, and this woman says, Father Boyle, Mrs. Bush is sponsoring a conference all day long at Howard University on this such a day. She's calling it Helping America's Youth, and she would like you to be one of the keynote speakers at it. I said, I'd be happy to. Oh, almost forgot. Mrs. Bush would like you to bring 3 homies with you. Now, whether the First Lady of the United States used the H word, I can't observe. And then she said afterwards, a select group of participants, not everybody, but a select group will be invited into the White House for dinner. Well, certainly crooks have resided in this house before. But it may well be the first time gang members have ever so, you know, I went in search of among my 400 workers for 3 of the most menacing looking gang members I could find, just to mess with the White House a little bit, you know. So I found Gus, Gabriel, and Herbie, older guys who've been to prison, tattooed, been there, done that. And I call them into my office and I say, look, you're going to the White House. They've never been on a plane, never been to D.C. You can't exactly have dinner at the White House wearing size 85 waist Dickies, you know, so we got to get you some suits. So, you know, of course, where are we going to go? Men's Warehouse. You're going to like the way you look, I guarantee. Well, that guy wasn't there, but we walked into the Men's Warehouse in Burbank, and I swear to you, me and these 3 gangers there, who literally stepped into the place. Every single solitary salesperson rushes us at the door as if to say, how may we help you leave our store as quickly as possible? We're going to be needing 3 suits. They're having dinner at the White House. It'll be all right. So they dispatched them into dressing rooms. I'm out there picking through ties. When finally the first of our group comes out, Gabriel, and Gabriel is in a perfectly fitted light gray suit. And he's standing in front of a 6-sided mirror, just staring at himself. Now, at the time Gabriel was about 25 years old, he no longer works for us. He's moved on to a better job. Many tattoos. The name of his gang, Florencia, tattooed across his neck from jawbone to collarbone, ear to ear. Lots of other tattoos, too. He'd gone through a lot of treatments. He still needed some more at that time. He did a variety of things for us at Homeboy Industries, but principally, he was our premier tour guide. He'd greet you at the front door with his $1 million smile. We get about 10 tour groups a day. And he'd usher you through the place. He'd introduce you to the job developers. He'd hand you goggles so you could watch tattoos being removed on the premises. He'd hand you a hairnet so you could watch enemy rival gang members bake bread together. He'd take you into the cafe and tell you what his favorite dishes were. He gave great tours. But beyond that, it was the quality, character, and nature of his heart, pure and golden. In fact, the day won't ever come when I have more courage, or I am more noble, or I am closer to God than this guy Gabriel. So I walked up to him and I tapped him on the shoulder, and he still keeps staring at the guy in the suit in the mirror. And I say, "Are you okay?" And he goes, "Damn, Gene, I'm already pinching myself." Like he can't believe he's in a suit. Can't believe he's headed to the White House. Well, I bought the tickets months in advance, but about 2 weeks before we're scheduled to go, I don't know what compelled me. I invited Gabriel only into my office. I said, "Hey, did you ask permission of your parole officer to go to D.C.?" He goes, Of course I did. I said, "Well, I'm just checking." "Yeah, she said no." I go, "Okay, when were you going to get around to telling me this?" "I wasn't going to tell you. I was afraid you wouldn't let me go." You know, like a little kid, you know, like, "Well, Miko, sit down. Give me her number. I'm going to call her right now." So I call the woman. I give the whole spiel. All-day conference, First Lady, White House suits. And she says, nope, high control. High control parole, which means a kind of a heightened sense of vigilance, you know. I said, could I talk to your supervisor? She transfers the call, and I give the spiel again, and the guy says, no way, high control parolee. I said, gosh, you know, is there somebody a notch, you know, like above you? And so they sent me to the notch guy, and I give the spiel again, and the guy says, let me be really clear with you. This guy's not leaving the state of California. He's a high control parolee. And they all seem to be having a really bad case of, and Gabriel, who exactly did you think you were that you get to go to the White House for dinner? Well, faxes and emails and phone calls from the Department of Justice and the White House and the First Lady's office. And the day before we're scheduled to fly, Gabriel finally gets permission from the parole office to go. We were going to go anyway, but I find that permission is preferable. And so Tuesday, we're leaving on a Tuesday, and it was mishap after mishap. The homies were all late, and so they put us in bumper-to-bumper traffic on the way to LAX. I turned to nobody in particular. Hey, did all you guys remember to bring your IDs? Silence. A lone voice from the back seat. Shit. It's Gus. We have to go back for Gus's ID. And so we flew to D.C. and we stayed at my brother and his wife's house. And Tuesday was the touring day, and Wednesday was the whole tourist thing, and Thursday was the day of the conference, the day of the Howard University, the day of the suits, and the White House dinner. And it was in the early morning darkness of Thursday that we discovered that apparently in the early morning darkness of Tuesday, as Gabriel was running to my car with a bag over one shoulder and his men's warehouse suit over the other, covered in plastic, open at the bottom. And as he ran to my car, the movement apparently jostled the pants and they slithered off the hanger. And they fell unbeknownst to Gabriel somewhere on the sidewalk or in the gutter. And some homeless man's like the way he looks, I guarantee. And throughout my brother's house, you could hear this plaintive cry, I don't got no pants. So God love my cuñada, she jerry-rigged a pair of my brother's pants. But he looks fine, nobody knows. So we finished the conference and the four of us walked into the White House. 3 gang members, tattoos, suits and ties. And there are butlers walking down the halls with trays of long-stemmed glasses of white wine, and the homies are snatching those puppies as quickly as they can. And every room, the green room, red room, blue room, they all had some elegant combo on the string quartet, and it was just magnificent. And the gold room was where the food was. This comilonga, this buffet, the likes of which I've never seen. The most gourmet food I've ever tasted. Absolutely spectacular. I went back 9 times. Rack of lamb, perfection. Salmon the size of Wisconsin. It had every imaginable food there, and somewhere like on my 7th visit to the table, suddenly I'm standing next to Gabriel, and he eyeballs these white potatoes cut lengthwise with a hole carefully bored out in the middle, stuffed with caviar and a sprig of chive. And he pops that sucker in his mouth. Spits it out in the napkin. This shit tastes nasty. To the teachers here, let me just say that he was not using his inside voice at the time. And it wasn't me or did the Secret Service lunge ever so slightly at precisely that moment. Anyway, I told you all that. I tell you this, I told you it was a long story. Anyway, we're flying home the next day, and we're somewhere in mid-country. And Gabriel, with all his saying, hey, I gotta go to Havana. I said, it's at the back of the plane. 40